Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 FamilyU Information Session. As Marcus shared earlier, my name is Reginald Grant, and I have the pleasure to serve as the Chief Operating Officer of Generation Hope. Before we begin, I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us and for your interest in Generation Hope's 2024 FamilyU Cohort. So as an FYI, as you heard, this information session is being recorded and will be posted on our website soon. To date, we've welcomed 3 FamilyU cohorts who represent 16 institutions from around the country that are all committed to advancing student-parent success. Collectively, our cohort institutions represent over 460,000 college students, and it's approximately 101 student parents in 7 states nationwide. We are so excited to welcome our 4th cohort of institutions this summer. On the next slide, you'll see the names and faces of the FamilyU team include our CEO and founder, Nicole Lynn Lewis, and myself, and the Learning Innovation Director, Dr. Jamie Williams. The rest of the FamilyU staff present today includes all of our senior higher ed impact managers, often referred to as FamilyU coaches, and our strategic partnerships manager, Marcus, who many of you have spoken with. We are also joined today by 2 special guests from our 2022 cohort, Johanna Elman and Alexis Primo Hawkins, representing San Diego Mesa College. In the second half of the webinar, Johanna and Alexis will be providing some reflections and insights into their experience in the FamilyU cohort so far. As for housekeeping, there will be a time for questions at the end, but please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box throughout this session as well. In this session, we are keeping all participants muted. So if you have any additional questions beyond what you can share in the Q&A, please join us for an office hour session. And finally, the CC option at the bottom of your screen allows you to access closed captioning if you want or need to fully participate in today's session. We will also send a follow-up email to all participants with the links and resources we shared during this webinar. As for our agenda today, we will provide a brief overview of Generation Hope, then dive into the different elements of FamilyU with an overview of the application and the timeline. As I mentioned, we'll also hear from our partners at SDMC about what it's been like to be a part of the second FamilyU cohort. And lastly, we'll save time at the end for your questions. Now, I'm going to pass it over to Catherine to briefly share more about Generation Hope's mission and impact. Catherine?
Thank you so much, Reginald. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, and again, welcome to this information session. We are so excited to have so many institutions represented this afternoon. I am thrilled as I'm looking through the chat and seeing where all of you are coming in from. We really want to, before we dive into the FamilyU cohort, just ground you a little bit in some background information about Generation Hope and how this work came about. So you can see here on our screen the mission, and I'll read it here. Our Generation Hope mission is to ensure that all student parents have the opportunities to succeed and experience economic mobility by engaging education and policy partners to drive systemic change and to provide direct support to teen parents in college, as well as their children through holistic 2-generation programming. So that systemic change part of our mission statement, that is where FamilyU comes in, but we'll touch on that in just a little bit. So Generation Hope began in March 2010. We're coming up on our 14-year anniversary, when our founder, Nicole Lynn Lewis, a former teen mother who attended college while raising her infant daughter, decided to put her dream of helping more teen parents beat the odds into motion. So fueled by her passion, the organization was incorporated in 2010 and accepted our first class of 7 scholars in 2011. To date, Generation Hope has provided more than $1 million in tuition assistance, supported over 300 teen parents in college, celebrated nearly 150 degrees earned through our scholar program, and built relationships with more than 20 2- and 4-year institutions across the DC metro region, as well as other institutions across the country. We also officially launched a new direct service program site in New Orleans last summer to expand our reach to more scholars. So our direct services include the hands-on work that we do each day with young parents and children in college and their children. So in addition to directly supporting teen moms and dads and their children in pursuit of a degree in both the DC metro area and in New Orleans, we also support systems change work for parenting college students across the country. So our system change work is all about addressing those systemic challenges that really make it so difficult for parenting students to complete their college journey. That systems change work includes our technical assistance program with colleges and universities that we call FamilyU, which we'll be sharing more about today, as well as a federal and local policy agenda driven by student parents, and our comprehensive research and reports. So we'll take a couple slides here to level set around what we mean when we talk about student parents. So despite the lack of focus on and investment in this student group, parenting college students actually make up nearly 25% of college students across the US. The majority of student parents are people of color. In particular, Black women are the most likely to be parenting while going to college. The majority are navigating low income, and many are first-generation college students. And even though student parents are 10 times more likely to earn a bachelor's, or 10 times less likely to earn a bachelor's degree within 5 years than other students, they have higher GPAs on average than their non-parenting peers. And that is a stat that always sits with me, so I'm going to read it one more time. Even though student parents are 10 times less likely to earn a bachelor's degree within 5 years than other students, they have higher GPAs on average than non-parenting peers. So in other words, this is a highly motivated group of students, but there are too many barriers within our higher ed system that are working against them to get them across that graduation stage. So 70% of student parents are mothers, and about 62% of them are single mothers. Among the 30% of fathers attending college, these individuals are 1.6 times more likely to be married than their women counterparts in the classroom. And Black and Latinx single fathers have the highest stopout rates of any other student parent group, signaling that both single mothers and single fathers in college are really in need of customized supports to help them complete their degree. I want to really emphasize here that a huge takeaway we always like to impress is that the intersectionality of the student parent population is so important. Their parenting responsibility is just another identity on top of many others that often pushes them to the fringes in higher ed. So we'll dive a bit deeper into how Generation Hope defines student parents. You'll see that we really broadly include caregiving students. Culturally, many Black families take on the responsibility of children that they didn't birth biologically. And for those enrolled in higher education, we really acknowledge that caregiving reduces the amount of time these students have to focus on their studies. Data from the Institute for Women's Policy Research shows that student parents across all races and ethnicities experience higher rates of poverty than their counterparts without dependents. And we know that all student parents are going to need critical support to weather a storm and make it across the graduation stage. For these reasons and many, many more, we cannot talk about student parents without also talking about race. And you will often hear us say over and over again that student parent work is racial justice work. Successful student parent work recognizes that we have to tie our initiatives to dismantling systemic oppression in higher education and in other various systems. So with that grounding, I will go ahead and hand it over to Jamie to speak a little bit more about FamilyU specifically.
Thank you so much, Catherine. So now that we've given you an overview of our organization and the student parent population, we want to talk about what we're doing at Generation Hope to help colleges and universities such as yourselves implement systems at your institutions that truly support this ambitious group of students. So after doing the vital boots on the ground work with young parents in college for more than 14 years, we're sharing our best practices with higher education institutions across the country. Our proven success with helping young parents earn their college degrees has led to the development of our technical assistance program, FamilyU. And through FamilyU, we offer both customized consulting services as well as a cohort experience that helps institutions level up their student parent efforts. So FamilyU is a comprehensive, customized, evidence-based 2-year capacity building experience designed to improve student-parent success at a college. In partnership with institutional staff and student parents, colleges and universities participate in our peer learning convenings, structured like 2-day workshops and institution-focused coaching sessions. More plainly, on a day-to-day level, what this means is that our program meets with, supports, and trains college administrators and faculty members who are committed to making their institutions more student-parent friendly. So through the engagement in the 2-year FamilyU cohort, institutions such as yourself can expect an increased awareness of the student-parent population enrolled at your institution, as well as that population's needs for college completion, boosted enrollment, retention, and completion rates at your institution, enhanced institution-wide student-parent work, and strong relationships with peer institutions and field experts working to improve student outcomes. Can also expect improved data collection and tools to better track the parenting status of your students. As many of you said that you know who your student parents are, this can help even become more and more aware of who they truly are, what they're navigating, and what their needs are. As well as develop and implement racially equitable, parent-friendly policies at all levels to help students thrive. And develop a stronghold of student parent champions at your institution to galvanize systems change efforts. So it's not enough for it to be a passion project that sits with one person or to be built into one position description, but for there to be systemic change, it involves several folks across various functional areas in various departments. So FamilyU focuses on 4 core competency areas for student-parent success, and these include data, establishing a comprehensive student-parent-centered data collection system; policy, analyzing institutional policy within a student-parent lens in order to create policies that help this population thrive. So it's not just looking at the written policies, but also the practices and the procedures. People, assessing the staff, faculty, and administrators' knowledge of student parents and implementing strategies to increase that awareness, as well as training around how to better support the population and more understanding of who we're talking about when we're saying student parents. And culture, developing and implementing strategies that foster a welcoming environment for student parents to feel that sense of belonging and that they are actually supposed to be there, and that folks at the college and university want them to be there and want to see them succeed. The underlying foundational element across all these competencies is racial equity, which Catherine had spoken to earlier. And we define that as both an outcome and a process. As an outcome, we achieve racial equity when race no longer determines one's socioeconomic outcomes, when everyone has what they need to thrive, no matter where they live. And as a process, we apply race equity when the most impacted by structural racial inequity are meaningfully involved in the creation and implementation of the institutional policies and practices that impact their lives. So it's not enough for them to have a seat at the table to provide insights as to what to do, but also how to do it, and then coming back to the table about how is it being done and evaluating it, how can it be improved. Because again, student parent work is racial justice work, and that underlines everything that we do. So how do we work together to achieve these outcomes? Generation Hope has developed a model of supporting higher ed institutions to build the systems, structures, and capacity to engage in a process of ongoing improvement that transforms how higher ed leaders and faculty approach their work. FamilyU embeds learning in a sustained professional learning community, working toward long-term goals and improvement. We know that one-time drive-by professional development is insufficient in creating deep and lasting change. So we've created the lasting institutional change through a comprehensive capacity building experience. Specifically, over 2 years, FamilyU cohort institutions will receive a pre and post assessment to understand where your institutional strengths and areas of improvement lie in sustaining this work, and a post-assessment that will provide demonstrable measures of growth over the 2 years. A customized work plan developed from the student parent capacity assessment, as well as various conversations from team members at the institution, and customized specifically for the FamilyU members that are part of the team. A dedicated coach who will be skilled in student parent advocacy and in coaching and will guide the development of the work plan and the implementation. 15 one-on-one customized coaching sessions. And these intensive coaching sessions are designed to maximize impact and accountability. And ultimately, we want to support you in moving all of this work forward. Typically, these sessions are happening on a monthly occurrence. And over the 2 years, you will also learn from and connect with other cohort members through 8 convenings. So those are those 2-day workshops. You will gain a student parent fellow in year 2 that will join your institutional team and advise the implementation of your strategies. So this is a paid position that at year 2 joins your team for a year. A student parent that is enrolled at your institution is compensated $20,000 for their time. 1 campus visit that will assess progress of the work plan objectives, elevate awareness and visibility of FamilyU and the work being done, and allow the team to visualize and identify opportunities for additional growth. And lastly, we offer an optional executive session for your board of trustees, board of visitors, or some governing body that your team and your executives identify as someone that you'd want to, or a group that you'd want to bring to the table to connect with our CEO and COO. Now I'm going to pass it to Jess to go over a bit more about what both FamilyU and the cohort institutions commit to providing during the 2-year engagement and provide an overview of the application process.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jamie. So throughout the 2-year cohort, FamilyU will provide you a knowledgeable coach to each FamilyU institution. We'll coordinate travel arrangements for in-person convenings. We will cover all meals during in-person convenings and lunch during our virtual convenings. We will assist with recruiting a student parent fellow that Jamie mentioned just earlier that is enrolled at your FamilyU institution and will join in year 2. We will also provide those fellows training, ongoing support, and compensation throughout their year joining your FamilyU team. In FamilyU, each institution must commit to the following. One is that you are committing to being fully engaged in the cohort from July 2024 through July 2026, with an active team that includes representation from key departments, including student services, academic affairs, facilities management, financial aid, institutional research, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. You are also agreeing to the cost to participate, which is $10,000 each year for a total of $20,000, which does not include travel. We also want to note that the cost will be waived for at least 1 HBCU that is a part of our cohort. Additionally, the FamilyU institutions will agree to complete all FamilyU reporting requirements and support the success of student parents. As we've mentioned, a core component of the FamilyU cohort model is participating in 8 2-day convenings throughout the 2-year period. On the slide, you can see here the dates that our convenings will take place. As you're selecting your teams, it will be critical to make sure that members can attend each of these convenings. Each of these sessions will be in person, as we've mentioned, and you can see, in addition to the dates, the core competencies or topics that will be covered in depth. Plus, during these convening days, you will also have a coaching session and other meetings. Okay, now that you have more information on the family cohort, before we share more details about the application process, we're going to hear directly from a member of, or 2 members from our second, we actually are going to hear from 1 institution of our second FamilyU cohort. There's 2 members who will be joining us. So the second cohort began in 2022 with 7 institutions, and it's been an honor to partner with them and see their work progressing. Today, we're joined by 2 amazing student parent champions, Johanna Aliman, who serves as the Basic Needs Coordinator and also the team lead for San Diego Mesa's College FamilyU team, and Alexis Primo, who is a student parent, who is a student leader and one of our student parent fellows at Mesa. I'm also elated to serve as their FamilyU coach and have led the opportunity and have had the opportunity to work with them since they've joined the FamilyU in 2022. So welcome, Johanna and Alexis. First of all, thank you so much for being a part of our second cohort. As I already mentioned, it's been a privilege and to work with you and really to see what the team has been doing over the past 1.5 years. And then also thank you for joining us for this conversation today. I know that your perspective is going to be extremely helpful to people who are considering the FamilyU cohort. So we're going to get right into the questions. And Johanna, I'll start with you. My question is what made you want to support student parents at Mesa, and why is this work important to you?
Awesome. So as the basic needs coordinator here at San Diego Mesa College, I've seen throughout the years, we were one of the first basic needs departments in the state and within the community college system. And so a lot of our anecdotal work, because we started case management from the very beginning and direct student support, is we were supporting a lot of student parents. And so it was just part of our questions when students came in to ask them what their living situation was, you know, if they were taking care of family members and things like that, to help us assess their basic needs and security. And while my whole role is focusing on basic needs, you know, this intentional question about if students had dependents and were supporting their households really helped us see that there was a need for stronger supports for student parents on our campus. We are able to get CalWorks back on campus. That's a program that helps single parents who are on cash aid and things like that. And the work for me is very personal. I was a single parent when I went through college, but even more important is I've been going to the college since I was in my mom's belly. She was pregnant with me when she was in grad school. Her professor her fall semester dinged her grade a little bit because she had morning sickness and missed class. And in the spring, she actually went to class while she was in labor. And her professor got all flustered and was like, if you're in labor, leave. And my mom was like, no, last time you lowered my grade, I'm not leaving. And that professor ended up excusing the entire class. And so this need for support and proactive support for student parents is not new. It's been going on for 50 years, if not longer. And so this work for me is just part of my journey in life and part of supporting students and finding out that so many students on our campus are parenting. Because when I was here, I thought, oh, it's just me and maybe like 3 other people. And so that's been a huge part of being part of the cohort, is learning the data that's behind it. And so, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And that's what I have loved with working with our FamilyU Cohort members, is those personal stories of how they've come to the work. And so often there's been student parents, whether it's our siblings, our parents, or ourselves, that are bringing us into this work. So thank you for sharing that personal antidote, Johanna. So that's a great transition for Alexis. Alexis, I'm curious if you could talk a little bit more about how Mesa's participation in the FamilyU Cohort has impacted you personally as a student parent.
Hi, Jess.
I knew you were going to be.
Me
I did ask you a question. Would you like me to repeat it, Alexis?
Yes, please.
Sure thing. So Johanna was just talking about the impact of how she came into this work. And so we were curious to hear from you around how Mesa's participation in FamilyU has impacted you personally as a student parent.
Yeah, so as a student parent personally, I feel a deeper sense of belonging at Mesa College. I no longer feel, any fear or shame being a parent at school. I have been able to build an amazing community of support and relationships, which now they give me so much more reassurance being alone as a single parent. And it's such a blessing to know that I could rely on others who can care for me and my little ones and welcome us into their hearts. I've become a more confident leader, not only at Mesa, but also in my community. I have a better sense of my purpose, and I'm very excited to inspire other parents seeking higher education, because now I know that it's definitely possible. Lastly,
Oh, it looks like, did we lose Alexis? Okay. And so this is a great example of how flexible we are with our student parent fellows and how we adapt based on their needs. I know Alexis is dealing with some things behind the scenes, and she was really generous of still wanting to be with us. So hopefully she might be able to join us and we can ask her some other questions. But in the meantime, Johanna, I'm going to bring it back to you. You started talking a little bit about your why and what brought you to FamilyU, but you've been doing it for a year and a half. Can you talk a little bit more about how being a part of FamilyU helped to accelerate the student-parent work at Mesa? And then as a follow-up, can you give us some examples of any big wins you've celebrated during your family cohort experience?
Yes, I think because the FamilyU application process laid out who you were supposed to invite to the table as far as the leadership on campus, a lot of times I'm in student services and the work that we do seems separated from the other areas, instructional, administration, facilities, and all those areas, that we don't necessarily get that time to collaborate and find big solutions. And so getting a lot of leaders on campus in these various areas, all to come to the table, all to talk about student parents and just make a more comprehensive solution has been huge for us, not just on my campus, but for my district. Because now that we're getting all this training and we have the data and we have the information and the research, we've presented at board meetings. I presented at the basic needs collaborative meetings. We talk about student parents all the time, which wasn't necessarily something that we talked about before. And focusing our students' needs as parents more, right? So we have diapers on campus. We have children's clothing. I run a food closet and clothing closet. And so students can come in and they can get baby food or they can get, items for their children. And so those have been really huge things for us, just expanding that conversation, right? We're presenting at convocation in the fall and the spring. So we're bringing more and more faculty to the table, having more and more conversations about the policies that exist in our district, and maybe where we want to bend some of those or change some of those so that it's more accommodating for our student parents. Also letting people know Title IX. How many people on our campuses have no idea what Title IX protects, especially with our parenting and lactating students. We've been able to bring on more lactation spaces on campus, which is a huge win. We've started a family resource center, which is a huge win. But for me, even the small wins are big. So we've collaborated. We have, again, CalWorks. We also have a program, Care, for student parents. We've been able to collaborate with them and do a parent cafe where our student parents can come in with other student parents and talk about things that directly relate to them. We've been able to map out where our changing tables are. We've been able to bring on some little signs that let people know children are welcome, like child-sized chairs, high chairs, play equipment, things that will let people know, hey, it's okay to bring your children. When I went to college, like when I was in grad school, I brought my son. I didn't even think to ask permission. I just figured my parents brought me when they were in college, I'm bringing my kid, not realizing I was probably breaking all kinds of rules. And so, I think if there were things on campus that had let me know, yeah, you can bring your kid here and here's where they can hang out or here's where they can be while you're in class, really helps student parents know that they do belong in college. I think it's a struggle. I know I personally struggled with, like, if my son was sick because he was 3 when I went back to school, if he was, whatever was going on with him, he was my first focus. And so I would miss class or I would be late on assignments. And having those professors that would work with me or those professors that wouldn't really affected my academic career in different ways. And so, yeah, I think our biggest win is that Family Resource Center. But even more than that, I think the work plan, like we now have guides. Once we're even done with the 2 years, we know where we're going collectively as a team on our campus. We at San Diego Mesa College like to tout ourselves as the leading college of equity and excellence. And so this is just the next step in providing equity and excellence to our students and letting them know that everybody deserves to come to college and have an education. And we will try to create the supports to help them get there.
I love that. Thank you. And since Alexis isn't back on the call yet, I'm curious, this is not a question that we sent you ahead of time, but I know you can answer it, Johanna. What has it been like working specifically with Alexis as a fellow? And maybe could you share a little bit about her advocacy project, since she's not here to maybe share a little bit more about that? Like, not a lot, but just, just a little bit of how it's been like connecting with her and supporting her work.
Yeah, Alexis has been a beautiful surprise. She's a student that I have known on campus. I knew she had children just because in the Basic Needs Center, children have always kind of been welcome. And to see her blossom and grow as she advocates for student parents on campus has been amazing, and just, yeah, how she advocates has been phenomenal. Her one big project that she was doing is a student parent scholarship, and it's named after her great aunt. And we are happy to say we are having our first applicants for that scholarship this year. So our scholarship closed on February 15th. And we are hoping to pick 1 or 2 student parents for a $500 scholarship towards their academic career. And we know it's not a lot of money, but for student parents, every little bit counts and helps them reach that goal of academic success and degree certification, and all those things that they're trying to do to bring themselves up in life. But it also, and this is something that sometimes only gets talked about, helps that multi-generational education, right? Like, I know when I brought my son on campus, he was like, yeah, I'm going to college. So now I know when Alexis brings her kids on campus and we're welcoming and things, they think, yeah, I belong at college too. And it's just a joy to have them around and have them just so excited to be here and to be with our fellow employees and be a part of our campus family.
Awesome, thank you. And so the last question we have for you today, Johanna, knowing that we're getting ready to talk about the application process and next steps and whatnot, what do you think prospective institutions should know about the FamilyU cohort? Any advice or insights to provide to them?
The quick answer is it's worth it. It's a lot of work. It's meetings, but being able to get collectively together. I have been fortunate in my team, getting to know them individually better, creating stronger relationships between my financial aid office, between my facilities department, our institutional data, our Title IX EEO, as well as other departments on campus. My dean is involved, our CalWorks and our care team are involved, and being able to come together and have a shared goal and a shared perspective has just made it a beautiful thing. It is a lot of work, it's a lot of travel, but it's fun. I can say the convenings, getting to meet practitioners from other institutions who are doing a lot of the same work, who have the same feelings of like, we are here to help our students get an education and we need to do everything we can to get them to that end goal, has made what has previously felt like an often siloed department, basic needs, we've often worked very much alone and been kind of poo-pooed to the side, like, oh, we're not social work and education. And I know I've said this in meetings that social work at its various basis is improving society and education improves society. So we are in social work business as educators, and we should be providing these supports to our students, and we should be doing everything we can to make our society better and more educated and provide a better workforce. It's going to be better for all of us.
We couldn't have said it any better, Johanna. Thank you so much. And I hope this is a great example of, if you apply to be a part of the FamilyU cohort, the types of people that you'll get to work with. As Johanna mentioned, it's been really great to go to convenings and meet with other people. And she is, certainly a prime example of the folks that you'll get a chance to work with as a part of the FamilyU experience. And so thank you again to Johanna and Alexis for the moment that you could join us, for grounding us in this work today and being a part of this session all the way from Pacific Coast time. So thank you for, well, I know we're all over different time zones, but it's always enjoyable to kind of think about Pacific Coast versus East Coast and whatnot. So anyway, enough from me. I'm going to turn it over back over to Catherine so we can share more about the overview of the FamilyU application. And then just as a reminder, if you didn't get a chance to drop a question in the Q&A, feel free to drop it now. We really do want to hear from you around your questions, comments, or concerns. And so, Catherine, back to you.
Thank you so much, Jess and Johanna and Alexis too. It's really powerful words, and we really appreciate your time today. We'll pivot a little bit here and talk just about the FamilyU application process. But like Jess just said, we are reserving time at the end of the info session to address any questions that you have about the FamilyU cohort and the application process. So feel free to drop questions there. You should have received a lot of these materials last week, so we're just going to share some highlights and then open it up to questions afterwards as well. All right. So eligibility for the cohort. All members of our 2024 FamilyU cohort must meet the following eligibility guidelines. So you must be a nonprofit post-secondary education institution, including public, private, 2-year and 4-year institutions. You must be located in the United States. You must have a demonstrated interest in serving the student parent population enrolled at your institution. Have a demonstrated commitment to racially equitable practices at your institution. Be amenable to data sharing with the larger student parent field. And finally, to be able to submit a letter of support for the institution participating in the cohort from your president or chancellor. So you can read more about the eligibility requirements on our FAQ page, which we will share in the follow-up email. And I think we're also going to drop in the chat too. So if you have any other questions that aren't answered there, again, feel free to throw them in the chat, or you can always email us too. So a little bit about the institutional team. Each participating institution is required to have a team of 6 members, 1 key staff member with decision-making authority from each of the suggested departments or functional areas below. So we're looking for a representative from student services, facilities or campus planning, faculty or in academic affairs, institutional research, that's our data person, financial aid, and then the diversity, equity, and inclusion department as well. 1 person from that team would be a team lead for your institution. And this person should have the bandwidth and influence to rally the team and its work over the 2-year commitment, to be able to serve as the main point of contact with the Generation Hope team as well, and also to be able to track your deliverables and objectives. Beyond attending all in-person coaching sessions and meetings, team members should also expect to spend about 8 hours each month on tasks and responsibilities connected to moving forward the goals that are identified for your institution. This time commitment will be a little bit higher for the team lead in order to adjust for a lot of those responsibilities that I just mentioned as well. Institutional presidents or chancellors should also commit to attend the policy cohort convening that occurs in year 1 of the cohort. We actually just had our 3rd cohort's policy convening last week. And that includes a special pre-session just for presidents and chancellors. And with that, I will toss it over to Marcus to wrap us up.
All right, folks. So just so you all know, we want everyone on this call to submit an application. I'm just going to share the selection criteria. You know, we are looking at whether or not you have any current or systemic initiatives and projects that currently are helping student parents. I want to make it very clear that even if you don't have any that are current, that you should still apply. Obviously, part of this experience is to make sure that we are, you know, helping you to strengthen the supports that you have. Really to, you know, leadership that demonstrates sustainable support. We want to make sure that you will be supported in this work. An institutional team that reflects appropriate key functional areas that we've already sort of mentioned, and a commitment to race equity and data sharing capacity building and engaging student parent voices. So these are just the things that we're going to be looking at in terms of when we select the institutions that will participate. And we'll go to the next slide and I'll just share the next steps, which are you are here at this information session. We really appreciate you all being here. We will send a follow-up email with all the information that you need to apply. Just so you all know, the application deadline is May 3rd, so you do have a bit of time to put together your team and submit the application. We will notify teams in early June if they are selected, and then we will kick off our 4th cohort with an orientation that will be virtual in July. So in terms of next step, I just want to make it clear that, you know, our goal is to make sure that you all are best positioned to put together a team. And so we are going to be hosting office hours that you can sign up for, so that if you get stuck, obviously we know that some institutions are really, really difficult to navigate. And if you, as the person who are attending this call, need support from us to pull together a team, to get a letter from your president or chancellor, whatever you need from us, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And so with that, I'm going to bring some folks back to the stage so that we can answer any questions that you have. Please continue to do so either in the chat or by using our Q&A function. So I'm going to bring back Joanna, I'm going to bring back Jess, And we will also bring back Dr. Williams, and just want to sort of really open it up to see if folks have questions. Jamie, do you mind just reading a couple of questions that you've already answered in the chat, just so folks know what has already been asked?
Absolutely. So some of the questions that have been asked around data, when we're talking about data collection, we are talking about the institution collecting the parenting status of their students and housing that data within the institution. And then at an aggregate high level, we ask the institution share percentages of students identifying as parents with the Generation Hope team so that we can get more of that national landscape. Another question that has come up is around our fellows. So the student parent fellow receives the $20,000 split up into monthly disbursements from June of 2025 to June of 2026, and Generation Hope holds that, sending the disbursements and managing that side of things with the fellows. Another question that came up was around travel expenses. So each institution is responsible for their own travel in regards to ground and airfare. During the convenings themselves, we do we from Generation Hope side of things do cover lodging expenses and then the meals during the convenings. Also, the way that we try to manage it is that once we know who our cohort institutions are, then we identify where each of the convenings will be so that at least one convening will be local to your institution so that you're not paying for airfare for at least one of the convenings as well. And our orientation is typically virtual. Other questions that are coming up? I'll also open it to my team if anybody has anything that they would like to add to any of those answers.
All right. So why don't we so we'll wrap up. What we'll do is obviously there will be, okay, so it looks like we actually have another question that which we will answer live. And this question is coming from Brad. And the question is, are all 5 or 6 team members required at the convenings? The short answer is yes, but Joanna, if you want to sort of chime in here, we are very flexible. We understand that in many cases there are campus leaders who are attending these events, and in some cases, your priority might be back on campus during one of our convenings. And so while we really strongly encourage as many of the team members to participate as possible, we understand and are flexible when folks cannot attend. And so what I would sort of encourage you to do is to share, we will share all of the dates, a flyer with you that you can share with team members. And if you start to get pushback from some team members to say they can't attend all of the sessions, obviously we want to make sure that the institution is well represented, but certainly you can work with your coach to be flexible on attendance. And I just want to sort of open it up to our team to see if anyone else wants to add anything, or Joanna.
Yeah, so I'll say that they have been extremely flexible. When we first signed up, I sent out to my team, here are the dates, and everybody was like, yeah, I can do it. But as things go on, if it's like the first week of classes, some people were like, can't leave campus. Our financial aid director, it's first week of classes, can't leave. We've had team members who've had childcare issues, team members with family medical issues. And so, well, they have done their best to try to make every convening. It hasn't always been. And I think our last convening, only one team member and our student parent fellow were able to make it due to issues. But the good thing is our team is always in good communication with each other. We all have each other's cell phone numbers. So if a question comes up, somebody can answer it. And so it's just creating a culture where that open communication and dialogue exists on your team. And it will really help. And the whole team at Generation Hope has been great. Jess is our coach, and she has been so understanding of our special needs with some of our people attending. And so, yeah, well, we're always encouraged to bring everybody. When some of our team members can't make it, it's okay, no problem. Just come to the coaching session, which is a little bit easier because it's on Zoom.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and
Well, hey, Marcus, can I add in one more point? I
Yeah,
saw
sure,
that there was a
please.
question about the student parent fellows and specifically the payment. I just wanted to elevate right now that we're recruiting for our current student parent fellows for our 2023 2025 cohort. And so if anybody's interested of just looking at the position description or learning more about it, that's available on our website now. And I'm going to drop that link in the chat. So there's a PDF of the position description, and so you can learn more about how we pay and how we support. But that is available on our website now if you wanted to check out what that would look like for you if you were to apply and then get your student parent fellow in year 2.
All right. With that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up with a couple of last reminders and updates. So as was mentioned earlier, the cohort is one avenue that institutions can use to partner with us. We also do provide coaching, consulting, training, and our signature assessment to institutions. And so if you're on this call and you're really excited and you don't want to wait until July to get started, you want to get started tomorrow, please feel free to reach out to us directly and we can certainly develop a partnership option that is tailored to your institution. I also do want to make sure that we are letting you all know on the next slide that we are really super excited to host our first inaugural national conference in New Orleans next month. It is called Hope 2024, where change happens for student parents and families. I am inviting all of you personally, just consider this my personal invitation to you to register today. This is going to be a great opportunity for you to learn from other institutions that are really leading in this work, to hear from student parents, and just overall to immerse yourself in an environment where everyone cares about the success of student parents. And so if you're interested in attending and need more information, just reach out to us and we're happy to do what we can to make sure that you're available to attend. And finally, if you still have questions, we are offering drop-in office hours via Zoom throughout the application period. If you have a question that comes up as you are reaching out to your team to invite them to participate, or just questions that come up before you submit your application, we have dropped the link to office hours in the chat. There may be some folks that have questions that you don't feel comfortable asking on this webinar. And so I would just ask that you click that link right now and go ahead and book some time to speak with some members of our team. You can also email us for support. We are happy to also answer your questions via email. And with that, I want to personally invite you again to connect with us, to stay connected. We are on LinkedIn. We're on the platform formerly known as Twitter, on Instagram and Facebook. And so if you just want to stay connected to us and to continue to learn more about our work, please feel free to follow us at one of these handles. And with that, I want to sincerely thank you all for spending the last hour with us. Really going to encourage you, if you're interested, to start reaching out to members of your team and to get an application in as soon as possible, because we'd love to see you all at a convening soon. And with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And again, thank you for coming.